Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton, here with Brandon. 5 cards, 5 minutes, returns for Data Live rares and double rares. Brandon, what's our first card?
First up, we have the level 0 Kermi. When this card becomes reversed, you may clock yourself from the top card of your deck, and if you do, mill 2, and salvage a character equal to those levels combined. So it's an on-reverse Cigarettes Ricky, essentially, to be able to get a character into hand from Waiting Room. Also effectively costless, because you don't have to pay stock, you're clocking yourself for it. So a really fantastic card to be able to get a card from Waiting Room.
Yeah, this card basically never whiffs as long as you have a legal target. On reverse can be dealt with. There's a lot of stuff that shoots cards to other zones, but aside from that, this is really, really good value on a 0 profile, as if Dal needed more of that. Next, this level 1 Coterie, 500 frontal assist. When you trigger a soul trigger, choose a character, give it 2000 power. You can also rest this to give something 500. So selective 1000 to a lane when you tap it total, an additional 2000 whenever you trigger. This card's annoying to play against, frankly, because it can just give you power out of nowhere, especially if you're in a list like the Choice list that's already running a high soul trigger count. Same with Standby. Tons of power potential in this card.
Well, especially when you pair this card with something that gives Twin Drive, where you can potentially trigger twice. So you're potentially doubling your chances of hitting a soul trigger. You can definitely power up your characters to win over board pretty efficiently, especially when they already sit at a pretty good power level with Standby, for example. So seeing this in the 8 Standby list is going to be like the play for Data Live, because this helps you to win board offensively and allows you to become an offensive 8 Standby build. Next up, we have the 3/2 Twins. That's an early play. During your turn, it gets additional 3000 power, so it sits at 10-5 offensively. And you can do one of the following 2 abilities, either heal or burn one, or if you ditch 2 cards, you can do both. So it's a pretty modular early play, depending on what you need and where you are deck-wise. And it's also very offensive versus defensive, so it kind of really pairs in with the 1/0 Kotor we already looked at. Really what Dal's looking for in an early play.
Yeah, you are never going to ditch 2 with this. Basically, you're going to heal. If you're still in level 2 and playing it as an early play, you can also just ping your opponent for 1 if you need to stick 1 off the top to push them into a new level, or it's just a free burn 1 that you can use in an off lane. Best possible early play condition because it's easy to achieve. Just a good card that's going to get played in basically anything that runs yellow. Next, 3/2 Toka. On play, top check 3, rearrange in any order, and also bounce a character to your opponent's hand. It's also a pay 1, pitch 1, Icy Tail for 4. Rearranging your triggers is always good. Bounce is super useful, especially right now. And it's a cheap Icy Tail without a Climax combo. A lot to like, a lot of utility on a single card.
Very much like a fixing tool for pretty much any deck that goes in, whether it's Standby or Choice. Especially when you pair this with the Kermi top end, you're paying 1 and selecting a character from Waiting Room to put into your clock to potentially even make that even more precise in your damage counts with the Kermi Choice top end. It's a pretty effective tool to pair in with all of those. Last up, we have this 3/2 Origami. Very different card. It pretends to be a level 0 at 0 if you have a blue card in clock. Only when you're 0, you can place this on stage. When you do, you can either put a card from hand into clock or take the 2 cards from the top of your deck and put those into clock. That's kind of like the cost to be able to get this on field at 0. On the flip side, at the beginning of your encore step, if you're level 1 or lower, it comes back to your hand. So it costs effectively either 1 card from hand into clock or 2 cards off the top of your deck into clock to have this on for a single turn.
Yeah, this is a weird card. When I first saw it, I was very afraid that Bushiroad was going to print a whole bunch of support tech for this, so that this was going to be like an archetype that you could potentially cheat out and leave on board. They didn't do that. This card is not very good. It doesn't really have a whole lot of other utility outside of, a couple of very specific pieces that, again, don't make a very good shell. You do get to play it for free at 0. It's a 3 soul beater that can just kill anything, so that's pretty good. But you're essentially trading damage for damage. You're taking damage so that you give yourself a chance to swing for bigger numbers at 0. It's funny, it's memey, but as of right now, that's about all it's got going for it. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back on Tuesday. I will have a deck tech. I'm talking about Log Horizon and Haruhi with the new power-up sets. We'll have gameplay for that on Thursday, followed by another Clock Talk on the following Tuesday, and in 2 weeks, we'll talk about uncommons and commons from the new Dal set. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.